Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Terry Kaye with Behrman House. In March, when most of you went remote, Behrman House went into action. Our goal was to help you safeguard your curriculum and your learning goals, no matter what combination of scenarios await you this fall. So what did we do? We created enhanced digital turn-page versions of many of our materials for teachers to show on their screens. We also prepared teacher support material with ways to use these turn-page editions on Zoom or other video conference platforms. I'm going to demo all this to you. So these materials include many that you are probably familiar with. Let's discover the alphabet quest, Shalom Uvracha, Hebrew in Harmony, Hineni, and many Judaic titles as well, about 40 in all. I want to just give a little, today we're going to be talking about Hebrew, the new Hebrew digital materials. Next Wednesday, July the 29th, my colleague Aviva Gutnick is presenting on the Judaic materials. The purpose of these digital materials is to give you flexibility and to make it easier for you to plan, and especially, if necessary, to pivot from in-person to remote learning and back. We also know you want your students to have a social experience while still learning. In other words, you want to build connection through content. Build connection through content. And now that these materials are teacher and learner ready for remote learning, you can do that. You can focus on keeping students engaged. So I want to kick off with a question for you, if you could type this in the chat bar. What do you see as the biggest challenge, could also be construed as the biggest opportunity for the coming school year? What do you see as the biggest challenge for the coming school year? If you can type that in chat. So we have keeping everyone engaged, parents complaining of children's Zoom fatigue, parents as partners. You see, that's an example. These are all examples of challenges, but opportunities. Working with children who don't type easily. Thank you. Very, very interesting. So what we did, I want to just share some with you. Thank you for those ideas. In a recent webinar, we asked that question, and 210 education directors and teachers responded. So what I did was, I saved a copy of the chat, and I created a word cloud with the responses, and I want to share that with you now. You can see my screen, right, Julie? Good. So just take a minute and look at this and tell me what you notice. So just as many of you wrote in the chat that the main challenge and opportunity is how to is Zoom and Zoom fatigue and so on. The biggest, the overwhelming challenge that people listed was how to keep kids engaged and learning on Zoom. Makes sense, right? Sherry's nodding. So that was exactly our goal in creating these new on-screen turn-page versions of the materials many of you use. What we're going to do now is to look at an example of a turn-page edition and how it works. And I've chosen the Hebrew in Harmony curriculum. What I say here can be extrapolated to any of these new turn-page editions. This is what the Hebrew in Harmony turn-page edition looks like. Can you just nod if you see it? The screen? Great, thanks. So let me go in full screen. It's an exact replica of the student journals. Let me take a quick moment to tell you, for those of you, many of you may not be familiar with Hebrew in Harmony, it is a prayer curriculum that teaches the prayers through music. One of its goals is for children to make personal meaning of the prayers. It's modular. There are 22 prayer modules. So you choose the prayers you want to teach at each level. For example, you might choose Baruch Hu, Shema, Michamocha, and the Brachot in 4th grade, the Amidah in 5th grade, and prayers from the Torah service and concluding prayers in 6th grade. The students have with them the physical print journals, Michamocha, Brachot, Ein Kelohenu. So what we've done in the turn page edition is to combine all 22 student journals into one on-screen edition. We just thought it was easier for the teachers and students to access it that way. The way the on-screen turn page version works is you literally click the left arrow because it's Hebrew opening. You can flip the page at the top and you progress through the pages. You can also zoom in, drag your screen, and we'll demo a few. In fact, let me show you right now while we're doing it. So let's say we are working on, so let's say we are working on Havdalah. I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to focus the children's attention on a particular activity. Here we've got 4 in a row. I just grabbed that at random. I am going to click on my annotation tool. I can, if I want, annotate a particular word or line that I want children to focus on. I might, if I prefer, if let's say one child has read really nicely or to the best of his or her ability, I might give them a gold star. And these are all features of the annotate tool when I shared my screen. I'm going to clear all my drawings and close the annotation tool. And I'm going to give you some specific examples of how we might use the turn page for Hebrew in Harmony. Before I do that, I want to zoom out and take you back a step. So this again is on the Behrman House website. And I'm going to show you before we leave today how you acquire it, how you buy it, how you access it. This is not in the online learning center. There's no special code. There's no special licenses, nothing like that. It's a link on the Behrman House website. And again, I'll show you that before we leave today, how you access it. Below the turn page edition is a teacher page down here at the bottom. I'm going to click on that and open it. And I'm going to scroll down a bit quickly, so forgive me for that, but I want you to get a sense of what it contains. It presents the teacher, you or the teacher, specific techniques for using Hebrew in Harmony, or whatever the turn page edition is, whether it's Hineni, Shalom Uvracha, Aleph Bet Quest, Let's Discover the Aleph Bet, Shalom Aleph Bet, specific techniques for using that title in a Zoom in a remote setting. So we, for example, show you how to, let me go a bit bigger, how to share your screen with all sorts of techniques, how to play Kahoot, using the student printables that I will show you in a moment, using breakout rooms, how to use Hebrew in Harmony app for enrichment, and finally getting children up and away from the screen. That's called the teacher page, and it's included with the turn page edition for the teacher. Down at the bottom of the screen are student printables. What are these? This here, you'll see a little short table of contents. We have selected one page from each Hebrew in Harmony prayer, from each Hebrew in Harmony booklet. And so you might say, but why? The kids have the journals. Why do they need a page? Well, there will be instances where the children are perhaps at a different home. They're at one house during the weekend, at a different house on the weekend, and they may not have their booklet with them. This gives them something to print out and to do at home. And again, I'm going to show you a technique for using the Hebrew in Harmony student printables. Again, each product, each title has its own set of printables. So for example, if you were using Shalom Uvracha, we've chosen one page from each lesson. All right, so now let us take a look. Stop for a moment, and I just want to see if there are any immediate questions. Actually, Julie, can I enlist your help with this? Anything that I should respond to now?
There is nothing in the chat.
Okay. We welcome questions, and we will attend to them towards the end of the session. So now let's take a look at how we actually use the turn page edition. And I'm going to just play through a few techniques with you and hope you'll play along. I'm going to go in full screen. So I'm the teacher, make believe, you are the students, and we are working on Micha Mocha. So I have two ways of jumping to Micha Mocha. I happen to know the page number because I prepared for the session. So I could type in the page number at the top, or I can go to the table of contents and go to the prayer that way. So let's type in page 288 and Micha Mocha opens. Now in our class today, we are working on page 10. I'm going to flip through to page 10 of this particular booklet. Again, the students have the booklet with them at home or in class or wherever they may be learning. I'm going to zoom in because the activity we are going to focus on today is We've Got Rhythm. So, Talmidim, I invite you to join. A little aside, if you have a big class, and by big class to me it's 8 or 10 or more, I would keep everybody muted and invite them to unmute themselves selectively. If you have a small group, you could keep them unmuted at all times. That's entirely your choice. Today we're all muted. So for this activity, I want you to grab any sort of a percussion instrument. Could be a set of chopsticks, could be a ruler, perhaps it's a pen. And we are going to do this activity together. You can play along or not as you choose. So I'm going to set up a rhythm and we're going to read it together. Micha Mocha, because that's the prayer we've been learning for the last few weeks. So please join me. Micha Mocha Ba'elim Adonai. Micha Mocha, etc. And now the children you can invite a student to set up their own beat. So now I want to ask you, and I'd love to know, let's not use chat for the moment. Feel free to unmute yourself if you would like to answer. What do you think are the benefits of doing the activity that we just did, this percussion, setting up a rhythm as we read?
Because songs are learned very quickly, and this is like a song.
Okay, songs are learned quickly. Thank you.
It involves movement.
Yes.
Action.
Exactly. So it's getting the kids engaged and doing something. Any others?
I would, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say the combination of seeing it, hearing it, doing it covers all the different ways of learning.
Right. Thank you. Thank you.
It's fun.
It's fun. And as you know, that's what we said. That's what we all said. How do we keep kids engaged on Zoom and participating? Thank you so much. So now we still, we want to still focus on Hebrew skills. So at this point, I might say to the group, okay, guys, how many times can you find in that same We've Got Rhythm activity, how many times can you find the Hebrew word that means who? And they would, and hold up your fingers or type it in chat, or, I would say to the students, and they will likely, and you can hold up your fingers and show me how many times did you see it. And right, so you saw it twice. And you could then use your annotation tool if you like to, to circle the 2 times that the word appears. You might call on individual students to read it. Gil, did you want to say something? Oh, yes, go ahead, you can unmute yourself.
I think I know the answer, but just in case. So I understand there's not an interactivity component here other than the annotation and what we just did? There's not
Correct.
nothing, something that we can.
That's correct. This is not an app. It's a digital version of the printed book. It's for you to share on screen. Exactly. Now, let me show you a different kind of activity that does not rely on the turn page edition, but it's still part of Mecha Mocha. All right. Here, in this activity called the Missing Words game, and I'm going to interrupt myself and tell you that everything that I've said today appears in the little teaching guide at the bottom of the turn page edition. Right? So everything we give you all these techniques, and they're specific to teaching that particular turn page book. So this idea is called the Missing Words game. I've chosen 6 important, that I consider important words from the prayer. And I'm going to say to the kids, all right, you've got 30 seconds or a minute or whatever you determine your 4th graders or 5th graders need. And I want you to try to read and memorize these words, because this is what's going to happen. In a minute, I'm going to take away one of those words, and then I'm going to ask you if you know what word is missing. So now they've looked and they've looked and they've perhaps studied it. And then I show them the next slide, and they must guess, they guess what word is missing. And then I show them the next slide. And now the word me was missing and Adonai was missing, and they've got to remember it. You can do this in any, you can adapt this activity to anything you're teaching. So for example, let's say you're using Shalom Uvracha. You might want to use, and these are the, these are the key words, and these are the 25 words. We want their cultural words. We want the kids to know them. You might choose graphics of some kind, and so they would, and then you would take away the graphics one at a time, and the kids would say what it is. So if you delete, okay, if you take away this image, then they might have to say that Melech is missing, or Chanukiah, or Tzedakah, Chala, Mezuzah, Shabbat. Those are the key words. Okay, Julie, I'm going to leave it to you to let me know if there are any questions. I cannot see everybody, so if you raise your hand, I'm actually not going to be able to see.
So there are a couple of general questions that have come up. Let me find my chat and scroll back.
Can I ask a
One,
general question?
so let me cover the questions in chat, Gil, and then we'll come back to you. So one of the questions was, have you scaled the lessons down for shorter virtual sessions?
Okay, let me explain something. That was, we actually, this is not a lesson plan manual, so we don't script it, or we have not scripted it or set a certain amount of time per activity. It's entirely open-ended, flexible, fluid. If you wanted to spend 5 minutes on that missing word game, you could. If you want, or the rhythm game, whatever, if you wanted to spend the whole lesson and do it, give every child a chance, entirely up to you. Our assumption, what we hear, is that Hebrew lessons are likely to be anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes a session. If many schools are working one-on-one with students, I'm not going to say many, I'm going to say some schools are working one-on-one with students in sessions that are sometimes only 15 minutes. And if you're in a whole class, you could be as much as 30 minutes, but often not more than that.
Thank you. Somebody, I'm sorry, go ahead,
I
Terry.
just want to reach for something here. This is in contrast, what I just said is in contrast to the Hebrew in Harmony, those of you who know it and are using it, the curriculum core that Eliana Light wrote. Those activities are fully scripted and timed. This is not. Go ahead, Julie.
Thank you. Another question was, can students have access to the turn page edition or only teachers?
The teachers share it. When I show you how you buy it, you'll see that it's a link that the teachers get, and they share their screen. So you're actually buying it according to the number of children who are viewing it. So in effect, you could share the turn page link with the students. This will become clear when I show you how it works. They don't need it. but it's not hidden from them. You could share the link with them if you wanted, but there's no need. It's for the teacher to share the screen.
For it to happen during synchronous learning time.
Correct.
Okay, and then one more question for now. Will the materials work if we break the kids into smaller Hebrew breakout rooms?
100%, 100%. And we give you, in that teaching page, we give you lots of techniques for how you can do that. And often it's super helpful if a madricha monitors the progress in the breakout room, and you as the teacher, or your teacher, if you're an ed director, pops in. And I would keep breakout rooms, very small groups, very short. All right, so now let's go on. And Julie, feel free to jump in, okay? You know, if more come in. So I want to give you another example of activated learning that we drew from the teacher page. So many of you know that, have heard of the Hebrew Harmony app, perhaps you're even using it. Now this is, to your question, Gil, an interactive experience. This is entirely unrelated to that on-screen digital turn page that I've been showing you. But I'm using it as an example of ways you can enrich any prayer program, whether you're using Hebrew Harmony, Hineni, the Siddur, materials from another publisher. You can enrich it with all kinds of videos and games and mindfulness practice and movement that you can draw from a multitude of places, including YouTube. But I want to show you now how we might use the Hebrew and Harmony app. So I've opened the app, and we're talking about Mechamocha. Let's go to Mechamocha. The app is where all the music and the videos live. For today's activity, what we're going to do is we're going to say, all right, guys, we're going to have a dance party. Actually, you know what? I'm going to call it a marching party. I'm going to play a song by a musician named Sam Glazer, and he has done a rendition of Mechamocha. Let me just check that I shared my sound. Forgive me. Yes, I did. All right, Sam Glazer did his version of Mechamocha. I want you to listen to it really carefully because we can learn a lot about the prayer from it. So here's my challenge to you. Listen to the instrument you hear at the beginning. We're going to talk about it. Then about 17 seconds in, you're going to hear a rhythmic beat start up. Then I want you to get up and march. And if you do a really cool march, you'll get a shout out. Okay, here we go.
We were set apart, marching through the desert, one people, one heart. The eastern wind split the sea, covered up our enemy. All the children of Israel started to rejoice. All the children of Israel singing with one voice.
All right, many of you probably know the song. So now I'll say, okay, who can identify, and here you can unmute yourself if you'd like to answer. I'd love that. What instrument did you hear in the beginning?
Shofar.
A shofar. So somebody tell me, now the kids are calling out shofar. And now tell me, why do you think, and here's how the kids begin to make meaning of the prayer, their own meaning. Why do you think Sam chose a shofar for a song about Mechamocha? Come on. You know.
It's designed to wake you up.
It's designed to wake you up, right?
It was calling the people together to come to cross the sea. It was like a signal to come and cross.
Right. And you might actually, exactly, Sarona, correct. So you might say to the kids, when do we, to give them a prompt, which I should have done here, is to say, when do we hear a shofar? And some might know that it's, Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Why? Well, it's to, as you guys said, to call people to attention. Something big is happening, and so on. And then, so this is how you make meaning of the music. And by the way, all these activities are included in the student journals, and therefore in the turn page where the children will, here's an example of using Sam Glazer. So they write down, or they draw, or they do some sort of dramatic activity with the music. That's an example of how you can enrich any prayer program with outside media. I am now going to show you, Julie, any questions?
Yes, we had a few. So one question was, will the how-to of using these digital versions be covered at your teacher workshop in August, on August 4th?
I'm trying to think. I'm having a brain freeze. What workshop is on August 4th?
I'm not sure, so we'll put that one in the parking lot. Can you use the interactive activities even if you do not have the turn page texts?
The only way you can access the turn page is if you have the student texts. And that's what I'll show you after we've done this next activity.
And then a general question, do all your Hebrew programs contain apps with fun activities like the one you just showed?
No, not all. Some do. We have Hebrew in Harmony. Of course, I've just shown you Shalom. There's something called Shalom Hebrew app that is an interactive app, Gil, that goes with Shalom Uvracha and that whole family, the Primer Express and so on. And we also have something brand new that goes with Aleph Bet Quest, which is called Aleph Bet Quest Mobile, usable on all devices. All right, I want to give you show you one more activity of how to use the student printables, and then I'm going to show you how you acquire this, and then we'll stop for questions. All right, so remember I showed you the, so this is how the page looks on the teacher's screen, not zoomed in. I've shown you a bit about the teacher page. Let's click on the student printables, and I've shown you the table of contents. Let's go specifically to the page for brachot. So now we are learning brachot. Students have the journal at home, but perhaps they're at someone else's house and you want to give them something hands-on to do and to focus on. So at the beginning of the school year, you can email the link to all the printables. You'll see it at the top you can see the link, right? You can email home that link, but you know what? By the middle of the year, they may have, that's for sure, will have lost it or buried the link. So as you encounter each prayer, you can print out just this page, email it home. When I say print, I mean like print to a PDF or just cut out that page and email it home. So and then you can say, all right, what I want you to do, tell me, Dem, is before we meet next week, I want you to print out the page I'm about to email you, or your mom or your dad or your caregiver or your grandma or whatever. And I want you to complete saying thank you, just this first activity, and then we're going to do a whole bunch of activities around that. So next week you come back and we hope students will indeed have completed this activity. And now you can ask them, if you're comfortable, unmute yourself, share your response with the group. Or remember, you know that kids, not everybody likes to talk on Zoom, especially when it's with Hebrew and they're not entirely comfortable. So allow them different ways to respond. So somebody may want to speak and answer. Somebody may want to type an answer in chat. One child may want to hold up that page and you read the answer out loud. Or occasionally even children might like to draw an answer. So give them lots of ways to answer your questions. So now they'll share their answers. Then we might say something like, okay, now we're going to do kind of a music activity. And I want you to listen to the song. It's by someone named Alan Goodis. It's called Shekacha Lo Be'olamo. It's to do with blessings and being grateful. And after we've heard it, while you're listening, I want you to think about one thing that you feel thankful for?
So 100 blessings every day.
Blessed are you, Adonai our God, ruler of the universe. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, who has given us this in the world.
So you're going to play Alan's song again. That's from Hebrew and Harmony app. By the way, again, no matter what Hebrew program you are using, if you teach prayer, you may want to just buy yourself the app, get a license to the app, if you want, and for you or your teachers, and then your teachers can enrich can share this on their screen, can share the music, and it's available on the Behrman House website. So now students will share one thing they are thankful for, and if they don't want to participate, they don't have to. We don't want to force anybody. They may not be comfortable. After that, we might introduce some other, perhaps a mindfulness activity. And we perhaps will show them this video.
Hi friends. This is called a Hoberman Sphere. Can you say that? Hoberman Sphere. Very good. But I like to call it a breathing ball because we're going to do some breathing with it. So we're going to take a big breath in through the nose. Breathe in. Hold it. And breathe out. Again, breathe in through your nose.
So that is a video from Nancy Siegel, who's she's a mindfulness consultant. And again, we give you this link in the teacher page. We provide links to various such mindfulness videos. You could show that video twice, because the first time they're just going to be watching and listening. It's very short, it's like 30 seconds. And then you could ask them to breathe mindfully. This time, deep breaths in and out, and to think about things they are grateful for. You could end your class with an activity around Hebrew thanks. For example, you could invite children to say Todah to one another on Zoom. So Emma might go first and say, Jonah, I like riding bikes with you, Todah. Jonah then would say Sarah, it was super helpful when you read that Hebrew line along with me, Todah, and so on. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing for a moment, and next we're going to jump to how you acquire this, and then we'll turn to questions, and that will be it for today.
Terry, one more question before you pivot from this. If the students have the journals and are theoretically writing in them, how often do you suggest somehow collecting them, providing feedback, and returning them to the students?
Wow. In a previous world, that would have been a lot easier to answer because you'll be with them in class. I don't know the answer because they could be at home, they could be with you. You might, we give you some ideas in the teaching guide of work one-on-one with students. So it could be that a madrich or madricha works one-on-one with a student, perhaps even for 5 minutes before class or 5 minutes after class, where you do review the activities or you go over it together. I mean, I'd be happy to hear any thoughts that any of you would like to share.
One person suggested taking a picture of it at home and emailing it to the teacher, right? You don't have to collect them, you can get them digitally. We seem to have some clarity on the August 4th Behrman House Better Together program that's running.
Right, so now I know what it is. The Better Together, we just sent out a newsletter yesterday, I believe, that offered an opportunity to learn how to use Zoom with Better Together labs. And they're a group of that sort of drama. They specialize in dramatics, and they did a session for us that's recorded, and I'm going to put, you know what, I'm going to put the link in chat so that you can.
While you are finding that, I think you're going to address these next two talkless questions, but it's how do we find which books are available in this format, which edition of Shalom Uvracha works with this. So I assume as you talk to us about ordering, you'll address that.
Right. So, very good. But I'm going to jump to that right now. For now, I just want to show you more about Better Together. So I went to YouTube. I typed in YouTube Behrman House, and the Behrman House YouTube channel pops up. And it's the first recording, creative and playful ways to engage by Zoom. This was a free webinar we did. So again, you don't have to write anything down. Just go Google YouTube Behrman House. You'll come to the Behrman House Tube channel, and that's what.
Welcome everybody. I'm Vicki Weber with Behrman House, and I'm really glad you've joined us today.
Now, Better Together is offering another webinar on August the 4th. Hope that answers the question. All right, so now, how do we
one more question I want to bring up before we move to this. So one person asked, are there book methods using congregational nusachot to bring students into congregational worship, as many may not be conversant with camp-style melodies? So I'll say that the Hebrew in Harmony has a variety of melodies for each of the prayers there.
Correct. So for each prayer, there are about, I mean, it's a question we get often. It's a really good question, and it is a question that people care a lot about, because they do want their children to learn the synagogue's nusach, and often the cantor is strongly invested in that too. So each prayer in Hebrew in Harmony app has about 6 to 8 or sometimes more different versions, by popular musicians. There are 65 musicians who licensed us their music. In addition, there's a tool, a customization tool, where you can put in your own melody that the students will learn, right? So you can customize the app to include your own nusach. The range of different renditions are not for the students to necessarily learn them, but to expose the children to different musical interpretations of the prayers. Okay, let's go now to the Behrman House website. So let me show you, one of the questions was what's available. I'm on behrmanhouse.com, and I go to Hebrew. Here I'm on the gray bar at the top, near the top, Hebrew turn page access. I'm going to click on that, and the turn page offerings will open. Let me go to 40 items per page. All right, so you can see Aleph Bet Quest, and you can buy it. This is with turn page. Obviously, you can still buy the book alone. You can buy the book with turn page access. You can buy Aleph Bet Quest with turn page access and the new mobile app. So there are lots of options. Here's Chaverim Be'ivrit for day schools. These are all the Hebrew and Harmony booklets. So, the Hebrew and Harmony booklets, you buy the individual booklets. When you do, you get access to the full turn page digital edition, but you still buy the booklet separately. Hineni, Aleph, let's discover the Aleph Bet, so you can see all of these that are available. For Judaics, I'll show you quickly. These are materials, the Judaics materials with turn page editions. Let's go back to Hebrew, and let's say we want to order. You see my screen, right, Julie? You see the editions? Julie?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. All right, so let's say we want to order, I don't know, Shalom Uvracha print edition with turn page access. We click on that. And we have 12 children making this up, 12 or 8 or 13 or 3. We have 12 children in our 3rd grade class. We click add set to cart and we type in 12 and we click add to cart. You, the person who ordered, you logged into the Behrman House website. You then get 12 copies of the physical printed edition to wherever your address is, to the school or wherever, the building, where your home, wherever. And you have now permission for 12 children to view the turn page edition. So,
Terry, scroll up a little bit so we can see the bottom of your.
Okay, I didn't go any further than this because I'm not actually adding it to my cart. So in other words, you buy 12 copies of the turn page edition, but how do you access it? So the book, we all understand, you get 12 copies of the book. Now, I want to access the link. Remember I said there are no codes, no licenses, nothing like that. I'm the person who ordered. So I go to account, I'm logged in, I go to account at the top of the screen. And on the left, you will see my downloadable products. My downloadable products. Click on that, and you will see the link to the turn page edition you just ordered. In this case, you're going to see a lot of links because I use this to demo, but I'm going to show you Shalom Uvracha Primer Express. Sorry, Shalom Uvracha print edition. Down here at the bottom, link for turn page access. I clicked on the link and the turn page opens. Now I'm the ed director, I'm the person who ordered. I copy that link and I can share it with my teachers at no extra charge. So in other words, the turn page is an enrichment, an enhancement of the physical book. The children are still getting the physical book and they're getting permission to access the turn page edition. So you share this link with the teacher and the madrichim of the class of 12 students. In other words, you're paying for permission to use the turn page edition with a certain number of students. So purchases are made according to the number of people who are viewing the turn page edition, not how many are showing it. I want to know if that's clear.
We have several questions on specifics here. So
okay,
one question.
Now I've stopped sharing my screen and I can see the questions. And so, Julie, okay, I'll just tackle them. Thank you.
Good. So if you go back up to, is there a way to handle the shipping?
Okay, I'm down by our Hebrew through prayer and the Hebrew primer available online. So Hebrew through prayer, I think you might mean Hineni, and the Hebrew primer Shalom Uracha, yes. So Hebrew Harmony will let you choose your choice of prayer settings. Yes, you can choose Reform, Conservative, Unaffiliated, and then you will see those versions for certain prayers, you know, Avot Ve'emahot, Gvurot, and so on. When you buy, do you get an actual book or online access to the book, or both? Both, because the children, each child gets a book. The teacher has permission to show, has the link and permission to show that turn page edition to that number of children in her class, his class. Is it $50.95 per person? Correct. Not for the teacher. The teacher doesn't pay, Madrichim don't pay. Is Behrman House providing a way to bulk order and have it shipped to students' homes? In other words, order 16 copies of 6 booklets. And yes, we are working on the question. We're calling it a book sending service, and we're working on that, Shari. So you will be able to send us upload a list, and we will ship it directly to students for some nominal amount. It's not in effect yet. We expect that to be in effect in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And we'll let you know in the newsletter. We announce all these new developments and new productions in our weekly newsletter. If you don't get our weekly newsletter, you can go to the Behrman House website. It's on the home page. In the middle, you can see sign up for newsletter. Is there a way to preview the turn page edition while deciding on books? You would order one copy, and that's the way you would, it's a good experience to try it out. You'd order one copy, and that's the way you'd be able to try it. Is there an option to get the turn page version only and not the printed version, just in case we are virtual all year? No. The turn page edition access is an enhancement for the physical book, and we strongly believe in both a physical book in addition to the digital, because it's a physical that gives children a tactile experience, especially for Hebrew, when they need to follow along, perhaps with their fingers, write, do activities, and so on. So it gives each child something to do for a complete, rounded learning experience. What if you already own the books? How do we get student access without ordering books we don't need? Okay, we have heard from a number of you, wait, we were in sort of 3/4 way through our books, and then we went virtual, and the books were stuck at school in a closet, and we just scrambled, right? So you can contact, if you have books left over from last year that you didn't get to finish, or if this year you've already placed your order, we can add on turn page edition for those leftover books from last year, and for this year's order, you can just contact us directly. And the best way to reach us is customersupport@behrmanhouse.com. Do you think I need to, I'll just type it here in chat. Customer support, or you can, of course, contact me. Okay. Terry, this is nice. Thank you. This is awesome. Great. Has the book changed greatly? Barbara, which book has the book changed greatly in the last 6 years? Can it be modified to use it on our program? If you want to add in which book you mean, or unmute yourself.
The one you're showing.
Hebrew and Harmony?
No, the other one.
Shalom Uvracha?
Yes.
Has not been changed. We've brought out new editions. We've brought out the Primer Express, and then Shalom Hebrew. The original has not been changed.
Okay, so if I have all of them, what happens?
If you have all of them and you bought them in the last year or this year, you can add on the turn page access per child for, I think, like $1 or $2 a child. But it's not available if, for example, you've reused books for 5 years. It's not available. It's only available with the book.
Okay,
so
thank you.
Pleasure. Joan is asking, to get the digital version, we have to order books, correct? Unless there's a situation, as I've just described. Is Kol Yisrael available in turn page editions? No, we have no plans to do so, but I am collecting requests. So Heidi, consider it noted.
I did post the link in the chat to go directly to see which things are available, so you can pull that up and scroll through to see if your programs are there.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Link for the Behrman House catalog. Okay. Link for the Behrman House catalog. Stay with me while I just go to our website. And there's a turn page, view the 2021 catalog, which I'm going to paste in chat. This is a turn page catalog, right? You can also let me know if you want a physical catalog. We have those too. Okay, for those of you who would like to sign up for the newsletter because you want to know what new materials are coming out, a little ugly, but there you go.
And just above that, I posted the certificate code for this session. It's 185. If you have any questions about certificates, you can email info@newcaje.org, as well as for everything else.
Sarah is asking, she uses Shalom Ivrit. Do we have that? We do not. Sarah, I've just written down, noted your request.
A question about whether Golem Express members will receive a preview.
Rena, these are not new materials. They are existing materials. So there's nothing that is going out on the Golem Express plan, on the Golem plan. Let me know if that's not clear. The Golem plan, Golem Express actually, is just for brand new materials. This is just a new edition of existing materials. Ronnie's asking, can you talk about the apps for some of these books, and if how you suggest making use of these in either synchronous or asynchronous learning environment? So I'm going to assume that you're referring to the separate apps, the interactive apps, not the turn page. Now there's a variety of ways you can use those. Some people just give the teacher a copy of the app, a license to the app, and the teacher shows it on screen and does it for activities and to play music and videos. If it's something like Shalom Hebrew digital app, which by the way you can try out in the App Store or the Google Play Store, Shalom Hebrew, just Google Shalom Hebrew, search on Shalom Hebrew in the App Store. You can try out 5 free lessons. Again, in the App Store, Google Play Store, search on Shalom Hebrew. You can try 5 free lessons, and that people are more inclined, people buy a license 1 per child. And then it's a great way to keep kids engaged when they are between sessions. Another one, Alan, I can't see your last name, Alan.
No, it doesn't say, but he also would like
Shalom.
Request.
Yeah, but I can, Alan
Alpert.
Okay, thank you.
And Joan, as Terry said, if you have books, or if you may have bought in bulk one year for multiple years, you can just contact Behrman House directly, and they will work with you on adding the turn page piece to it.
You got it, Joan. I like your background, Joan. You can contact me or customer support, and we will take care of it. Thanks, Alan. And I think that is it for the questions. So
one more, can I ask one more? Will Behrman House have like a session about the different curriculums, because you have so many to choose from? Which one fits kind of? I'm a big fan of Shalom Uvracha and Hineni. I'm a traditionalist, but you have so many new ones. Like which one to choose from?
Gil, you know what? I think we don't have any sessions planned sort of en masse, but we work individually with educators all the time. So why don't you email me afterwards, and we'll set up a time, and I'll do a little personal walkthrough for you. It's Terry, Terry @behrmanhouse.com. So Amira's asking, how do I try out Shalom Hebrew app? You go, by the way, what I'm about to say applies to Hebrew and Harmony app too. You go to the App Store on your, where's my phone? On your phone or your iPad, you go to the App Store. Go to the App Store or the Google Play Store, and you do a search on Shalom Hebrew. It'll appear. Or Hebrew in Harmony, it will appear. Thanks, Shari Rothstein.
It's helpful to also put Behrman House in your search. Also, yes, since Shalom and Hebrew are 2 words that sort of commonly show up. Yes.
Thank you, friends. And then you'll be able, for Shalom Hebrew, you can try out 5 free lessons. If you like it, if you think it suits your purposes and your kids will gain from it. Then you go to the Behrman House website, and you can find it on our site. I'll show you actually, I'll do one last screen share. So if you want to see our apps, go here in the menu, the gray menu to apps, click on Hebrew apps. And these are the apps that we have available. Aleph Bet Quest is brand new. By the way, you can also try out 2 free lessons for Aleph Bet Quest in the App Store. All of these you can try out in the App Store or the Google Play Store. And then if you like it, you come to our website and you buy it. You'll see that you click on that icon and that page, and then you can buy it from us and you get a license for it. Anything else today, friends and colleagues?
All right, so I put in the chat a link for the evaluation. Terry Kaye is the Director of Educational Services at Behrman House and my work neighbor. We work across the street from each other. But even if you are farther away, I can tell you that she is always accessible and happy to set up a time to talk about any of their products. Terry, I know we appreciate this tremendously. All of us who have been using Behrman House products and wondering how we can pivot as we go on to this virtual environment, and those who are exploring new possibilities. I also put a link in the chat. We invite you to enter to win a brand new iPad. What we do when we are together is we have a room key lottery, and we ask if you are willing to donate your room key deposit. We will enter you in a drawing for an iPad. We are virtual this year, so you can scroll back up and find that chat. I can repost it if you need. The certificate number, again, is 185. Please do fill out your evaluations. They are tremendously helpful both to NewCAJE and to the presenters. We do look at them and they help us in planning for future conferences. If you are looking at your schedule again that you set up a month ago and you realize that there are sessions that you cannot attend or you are making a different choice, please unenroll from those sessions so that people in the waiting list can get in and so that presenters have an accurate idea of how many people to expect. I think that's all I had. Anything else before we say goodbye today?
Just I want to note the questions in the last few. Rena, I note your request for Shalom Ivrit. Sarah, no, I did not talk about Hoberman Sphere, but we do have 6 levels available as turn page editions. And thank you so much to all of you for joining today, and to Julie for hosting so graciously.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy your day.